how to make the first million.
Okay, so the first step is action. Now, this one is the most important because I find a lot of people, are sitting on the couch at home and they're going, you know what, I need to start a business. What should I start? I'm trying to think what I should start. And then 6 months later, they're still on their couch going, I wonder if people will like this. AI is coming in and maybe I'll wonder what they'll do. Action, action, action. Just get out there, start a business. Just start doing it. It's probably not going to be the right thing. Don't worry about it. You'll start in this direction. You'll find something else. You'll find something else. You'll find something else. And you'll end up doing a business over here. But you'll end up doing business. That's the first step, right? Take action. Take action.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to make your first million? Today we have Swart joining us from Australia. That's far. And we're so happy. We need more people from Australia here in the podcast. But we have interviewed few millionaires from there already, yeah? So Luis is a business coach for coaches and the founder of Ironbrij, a human AI-powered virtual assistant company that help coaches avoiding burnout and create self-sustaining businesses. So with over 35 years of experience building and selling companies, manage more than 450 staff, oh wow, and training coaches worldwide, Luis specializes in teaching effective delegation and growth strategy. He's a published author and top 50 finalist in the next top speaker competition. Wow, he's an accomplished international speaker and trainer dedicated to empower individuals to reclaim their time, profitability, and peace of mind in Facebook. Wow, a fellow speaker, speakers and leaders. Good. So Luis, tell us, what are the 5 steps how to make the first million?
Okay, so the first step is action. Now, this one is the most important because I find a lot of people, are sitting on the couch at home and they're going, you know what, I need to start a business. What should I start? I'm trying to think what I should start. And then 6 months later, they're still on their couch going, I wonder if people will like this. AI is coming in and maybe I'll wonder what they'll do. Action, action, action. Just get out there, start a business. Just start doing it. It's probably not going to be the right thing. Don't worry about it. You'll start in this direction. You'll find something else. You'll find something else. You'll find something else. And you'll end up doing a business over here. But you'll end up doing business. That's the first step, right? Take action. Take action. The next one is bring people into your world. So, people have done what you're trying to do. People have done what you're trying to do before. So work out what are the kind of people that you need to have around you. They talk about proximity is power. So if you're hanging out with people that are just got a job and then you want to start a business, you're going to find it very difficult because they're not going to understand what you're trying to do. But if you hang out with people that have got business and you want to start a business, they're going to motivate you and you're going to be much easier for you to actually start getting your business. The third thing is get yourself a good coach. A good coach is going to change your life. Like if you think about Serena Williams, amazing, amazing, amazing tennis player. She's got a coach. Tiger Woods, he's got a coach. Everybody that you see has actually already got coaches. And that's because, Tiger Woods, he might be the best guy hitting the ball in the world, but he can't see when he's swinging, he can't see what he's doing wrong. And that's where his coach comes in. So get yourself a coach, get yourself somebody who knows how to get there and can help you to get there. Thirdly, you want to put in some systems. You want to start looking at what are the systems that you can put in. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. So what stuff takes a lot of your time? Okay, and the stuff that takes a lot of your time, how do you get that better? How do you put in systems? So if you're going to do something once or you're going to do it 100 times, how can you do it quicker the next time? And then the third one is just learn how to delegate. You do need to learn how to delegate. If you're going to get to your first million, you're either going to have to delegate to a human, or you're going to have to delegate to AI, but you're going to have to delegate to somebody. You can't do it just on your own. No matter how good you are, no matter what you do, you are going to have to delegate to something. So those are kind of my 5 steps.
Luis, so tell us your story, how you decide to become an entrepreneur, actually a serial entrepreneur. It's already a big challenge to have one business and exit it and sell it. And you have done this multiple times, which I'm very impressed. So tell us your story, why you decide to become an entrepreneur. A really clever guy like you can get a job in Australia and get paid a lot of money for it. And you have very comfortable life, Saturday and Sunday off. So why tell me your story.
I've always just loved business. I've loved business and I've loved helping people. And so this was just an extension of that. I never thought about it as doing, I've always thought about it as how do I help people? And by helping people, solving their problems, I've actually been able to make money. And so that's been incredible for me. You know, it's just been about go out there, find a problem, fix that problem, and people will pay you for that. And you know, when I was 30, I remember I sold a business for 5 million. I had 200 staff, had a business with my brother, 200 staff.
At 30 years old, you become a wow, that's really impressive.
And and so
so you never have a job, Luis? Do you have a job before or never?
I was a fireman. When I left school, I was a fireman, but I was a fireman and I had other jobs as well. So I was a fireman and I fixed supermarket trolleys at the local shopping center. You know, and I did handyman work, and I always had stuff, you know, other stuff that I was doing.
Kind of solo entrepreneur kind of thing, or you were working as a handyman for somebody else?
No, solo entrepreneur, working for myself.
Do you have any entrepreneur in your family, any relative, or what do you think that this inspiration come that, you know, you, even though you're very young age and you don't fit in the work, you are unemployable? Say like me, I have only short career as an employee, only 5 years. And it was a headache as an employee, you know, I only want to do the things in my own way. And it was, you know, it was hard for me and for the people working with me. So tell us, but I need to know, we would like to know what triggered that entrepreneurial within yourself. It was a family friend, it was a TV show, it was a book you read, it was something that happened to you in one of those jobs that you said, okay, you know what, I have enough and I'm going for it, and this is it, this is what I'm gonna do? Or so what do you get the influence, the inspiration?
Look, my dad always had some extra, he always had a job, but he always had extra things. My brother always did extra things, and he would generally drag me into them. So he would go, I'm going to sell fruit and vegetables, and he'd get a little trolley, and then we'd go and buy fruit and vegetables, and we put them in the trolley, and we go from door to door and sell people fruit and vegetables. But I had to drag the trolley. I had to do the hard work, you know. Or do you remember when those little eyes, you know, in the door, you know, when you go to the front door, if someone knocks on your door, you go to the door and you could look through the little hole and actually see who was outside, you know, the little eyes. So we went around knocking on people's doors and putting in the little eyes. So we would say, you know, if someone knocks on your door, you can't see who they are, we can install an eye for you. And people would say, okay. And then we, you know, we weren't cordless drills and things back then, so we had to have.
But it's in the family. It's in the family DNA to make an extra box. Anyway, the job is so. It's in the family DNA to make an extra money somehow, right? And then you started in the same philosophy of your family, seeing your brother, your dad, and whatever. But then something changed. You said, you know what? I'm not going to do this like an extra box anymore. I actually going to do this full time. Why? It was the first business you got lucky and the first business did well, or the first business was a challenge? Tell us about your first business.
My first business was selling mice. So I
do you remember? I think you don't even remember. A long time ago.
Yeah, but I bred mice.
Selling mice? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I bred mice and I sold them to all the children at school. So I sold mice to all the kids, and then all the kids would buy the mice, and eventually everybody had a mouse, but my mice were still breeding. And so then I was like, well, how do I sell more mice? And so we got Mum's food color, the food dye, the food coloring, the red and green and blue. And we made a little thing, and we put the mice in, and they swam through, and then they would dry out on the other side. And now you had red mice and blue mice and green mice. And so then we went back to school,
Wow.
and we were like, do you want a mouse? And people were like, got a mouse. And but have you got a red one or a blue one? I need a blue
Oh,
one. I
wow.
need a red one.
Wow, great story. Great story.
Supply and
Okay.
demand, supply and demand.
So, scaling up or actually going through the journey, okay? So you have the first business, which is with the mice, and then you have another one. So when do you knew that that one about this one that you sold at 30 years old? Tell us what was your process from 0 to 1 million and to one and what was your biggest challenge and how you become that challenge?
Okay. So I remember selling that business for, the business we sold for 5 million. And I remember sitting in the bank and them counting out the 5 million in cash. Okay. And then I remember thinking back to 5 years before that. I had a plumbing business. I had 10 plumbers, and I went to sell that business. And I thought, oh, I'm going to make so much money because I've got all these people working for me. This is going to be amazing.
Cash
And
flow.
I said to the broker, how much can I get for my business? And he said to me, Louis, who does the quality control? And I said, well, like I do it. Because, if you want something done right, you need to do it yourself. We've all heard
Especially in
that.
home services. Home services business are tricky. You have to keep an eye all the time.
True. So then he said to me, who does accounts? And I said, I do it. Who does the hiring? I do it. Who does I. And he said to me, Louis, your business is worth nothing. And I said, what? And he said, I'm sorry, mate, it's worth nothing because I have to find another Louis who does plumbing, quality control, accounting, etc., etc. And he said, where am I going to find that? And I remember that feeling in my tummy just as my heart sank, and I had this sick feeling in my stomach that my business was worth nothing because I'd actually just built myself a good job. And I built myself a job that somebody else didn't even want. Right. And so fast forward 5 years, I'd started another business with my brother. And when we went to sell that business, they said,
It's still in the home services? It's still in the home services space or in a different space?
No, this one was in public telephones. So we did public telephones. It was just before mobiles were coming. Mobiles had just come in. But they weren't readily available. They were still a bit expensive for the average person. And so, everybody wanted to make phone calls. But when we went to sell that business, they said, who does accounts? Who does quality control? Who hires staff? Who does this? Who does that? And none of the fingers pointed to me. And so it was easy for the next business owner to just come in and basically pay us, take over from the management position, and run the business. And that's why we were able to sell the business so quickly. Wow. And then I emigrated to Australia. And then in Australia, I had some epic fails. I lost.
Where were you living? Where were you living before?
South Africa.
Oh, wow. I've been there. It's amazing. I love it there.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
and I've been in Australia, but I heard that the weather is good over there. So
Australia's beautiful. Australia's beautiful. It's cold now. We're cold. We're cold at the moment. So, but then coming to Australia, I started a whole lot of different businesses. Some I made money, some I didn't make money. The last business was we did safety guards in the rail, in the trains, the railway line. And we grew that from nothing to turning over 35 million. And
wow.
with 450 staff. So that business actually grew. Yeah. And it was because I learned how to delegate. I'd learned how to delegate tasks, because if you're going to have staff work for you, you do need to know how to be able to delegate, as good as possible, because you can tell one person something And I tried all the different tricks. I tried telling one person who tells the next person who tells the next person. That doesn't work. I tried telling everybody myself. Also doesn't work. So you got to just learn out what systems can you use? What systems can you use? What checklists can you use? How do you make it so that you can easily replicate a system?
Okay, now let's go step by step, because there is a difference between building a business that look more than a job for you. Okay. That, by the way, I've been there also. My first business, when I want to sell it, I find out that it doesn't work that much. So I've been there. We all been there. Yeah, we like, what? After I worked so hard, and then so building a business to sell. Okay. If you could check with our audience are entrepreneurs, small business owners, medium business owners, large business owners, people that corporate that want to be entrepreneur. So can you share with our audience from your perspective, two things? Number one, okay, one thing is to have a business. Completely different is to start a business from the beginning with already in place in your mind that you're going to exit, and it had to be sellable. So what to do in order to build a sellable business, number one. And number two, we want to know your take about, do something that you're passionate about and you will be fine. Because it seems to me that, mice, telephones, security guards. The other day, a podcast guest came here and told me, Harry, I make millions. I solve a lot of companies. And let me tell you something. None of my business I'm passionate about. I saw it, an opportunity. I solve a problem. It was a gap in the market. I make a lot of money and I sell it. And I've done this again and again and again. And he told me, none of them have been my passion. But let me tell you, all of them make money, and I sell it and I make good money. So two things: how to build a business from zero that is actually sellable. Number two, what is your take in, do a business that you're passionate about and you will be fine.
Okay. Well, let's start with the first one. Okay, so the first one, how to build a business that's sellable. So if you're in business, or if you're going into business, you're probably going in for one of three reasons. You either want to have more time to spend with your family. You're tired of corporate being in there for 12-hour days, getting paid for 8. So you want to go into business, you want to have more time, and you want to have more money. The second one is you want to be able to sell your business one day, right? And the third one is you want to build like a legacy. So you want to build something that you can leave for your children. All three of those have got one thing in common. You are not in the business. If you're building a business where you can have time off, you're not there, and your business needs to run without you. If you're building a business to sell, you need to be able to be not there, and your business needs to be able to run without you. If you're building a legacy to give to your grandchildren, you need to be able to be not there, and it needs to be running. So literally, that's the trick. How do you make a business where you are not in the business? You have to build a business that can run without you. That's the only way to make a business that's super easy to sell. Because then if it runs without you, if you've got a business, Harry, and you go, my business runs without me. I come in one day a week, I do this and this and this, and I want to sell it. Everybody wants to buy it because everybody wants to work one day a week and earn what Harry earns. But if you say, I've got a business and I work 18 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week, who wants my business? Everyone's going to go, you crazy. I don't want to work like that. Right? And so that's the concept.
You're buying a job.
Absolutely.
That's
So
worse
you have to
imagine. There are a lot of jobs that you can get for free and get paid. Who wants to buy a job?
True. So you have to find stuff that you don't have to actually be in. Okay. Now, the passionate, you don't have to be passionate about what you do, but we all find different things that we're passionate about. Some of us are passionate about people, helping people. Some of us are passionate about making money. Some of us are passionate about systems. Some of us are passionate about delegating. I really love systems. I love systems. So when I start a business.
So you're passionate about scaling, right? You're passionate about scaling, and that's your passion. Okay. Keep going.
So when I start a business, I go, okay, when I went into the safety in the rail, I was like, okay, how are they doing this? What systems are they using? And nobody was putting in really good systems. And so I was like, oh, wow, I can put in this system and I can put in this system. That's what excited me. It didn't excite me that there were people that were safety people in the rail. That wasn't exciting. The exciting thing was that I looked at it and I went, I can shake up this whole industry by putting in systems and, showing them how to do like modern day stuff instead of the way that they were doing it on paper. I could show them how to do it on computers and I could bring the whole business across. The same with the public telephone business. It was all run on paper and very basic spreadsheets and things. My passion was like, how do I make systems? And I mean, this was years ago. How do I make spreadsheets? How do I get all the figures? How do I get those spreadsheets to talk to other spreadsheets? How do I actually end up with, a way that I can just go, this place is making a profit, this isn't? Because I had, I opened up a whole lot of telephone shops. Like I had, at one point we had 28 telephone shops, and you needed to know this shop was making money, this wasn't making money, this was making money. And then the one that wasn't making money, you get rid of that one and you get some more that are making money. But it's that whole thing about action. Like I said in the beginning, get in and just do it. And you'll go, this is making money, this isn't making money. Okay, well, we're going to do less of this and we're going to do more of this. So go where the money is. And then you'll find, okay, well, I'm making money now. And then this is making even more money. Okay, we're going to go in that direction. And so it's just movement. It's so much easier. If
the money is a reflection, Luis. The money is a reflection. The money is the reflection that there is demand for the product there, that the consumer.
Yeah. They decide which way you're going to go. Exactly. They completely decide the direction. Because lots of us sit down and we go, I'm going to solve this problem. And we start trying to solve that problem. And then we find out that, hey, man, people that have got that problem haven't got any money. Okay. Right. But those people really have got another problem that they want us to help them with. And they're willing to give us money for that. And so you're like, all right, or maybe the problem that you're solving, the pain isn't enough. If the pain's not too much, like we put on a bit of extra weight, okay? We put on a bit of extra weight and we go, I should lose some weight. But it's not too bad, so we don't do anything. But then we put on a little bit more weight. It's not too bad, we don't do anything. Then we go see the doctor and the doctor says, you're going to die in like a year's time unless you lose some weight. Now we go, whoa, okay, I need to lose weight. Now suddenly we are super motivated to lose weight. We want to go to sign up to gym. We want to get a personal trainer. We want to do all the things that we should have done before. And your business is like that. You're going along saying, hey, let me help you lose weight. Let me help you lose weight. People are like, yeah, I haven't got money now. And then one of their friends dies from a heart attack. And now suddenly they have got money. They're getting the best coach in the world. They're going to the best gym. They got they got all the fitness. Their whole garage is just like treadmills and bicycles. They've spent so much money and you're going, what? How come you didn't have any money last week, but this week you've spent massive amounts of money on your health? That's really what we're looking for. We're looking for when are those sweet spots there.
So boring businesses versus exciting business. I spend a lot of time with the startup founders, and everybody want to be the next Elon Musk. Everyone want to be the next Bill Gates. Harry, I have this exciting product, this exciting technology. We're gonna change the world, and I'm gonna be billionaire. We're gonna be billionaire together, and this is exciting, right? And then on the other hand, you have a huge percentage of failure in startups, okay? And then on the other hand, you have this boring business that nobody wants to do, like who wants to sell telephones? Who wants to do security guard business? And these are boring business, but they are there for a reason. You need the security guards. The society function like that, and the security guards has to be there. And if you put the right system, you can scale and have a decent system. Like today, He was prior to this interview, he came a podcast guest that has sold over 50 million in a moving company, right? So
Yeah.
he has presence in a lot of states in the United States, a lot of and he has over 50 million. And we were talking about the subject as well, like boring kind of who want to a removal company, who
Yeah.
wants to open that nowadays, right? So what's your message to startup founders? Okay, give them a check of reality because you have sold several businesses and scaled them. Okay. What message do you have for our founders that everybody's behind the Chinese story? Everybody want to be the next billionaire and have the
Yeah.
coolest product ever with this AI and everything, and they are neglecting this boring business that you clearly have made millions. And you know what I mean? Several times you have done it several times. We can
Yeah.
call it boring business, but actually
Yeah.
there is a problem, there is a solve, and you scale, you make a lot of money, right? And you live
Yeah.
a great life, right? So tell us your
Yeah.
opinion. What message do you have for the founders?
Well, think about this, okay? Think about Elon Musk, and he builds rockets, okay? Amazingly exciting when that rocket takes off and is heading to the moon. Exciting. But the year or the 2 years before that, when they're there and they're building the different aluminium and they're doing that, boring, terribly boring. I had an uncle and he used to fly airplanes. And I said, what's it like? It must be beautiful. And he said, it's really, really, really boring. And then every now and then it's super exciting. Okay. And I think that lots of things are like that. We see this super exciting. We see the podcast and we go, oh, I want to do what Harry does. Look how exciting it is. He just sits there and he talks to people all day. And then we go, and don't we go, hang on, but what about all the boring stuff that Harry does? What about talking to people and those people that aren't, ready to be on a podcast? What about all the editing? What about all the admin? What about all the chasing up the people? Like there's a lot of boring stuff that goes with every job. It doesn't matter how exciting. I mean, you don't think that, Zuckerberg, you don't think he goes, woohoo, I'm going to work today. I'm going to be at Facebook. Like, this is amazing. He doesn't. Most of his day is super boring. Most of his day is meetings and what are we doing and how are we going to do this? And every now and then there's something exciting. But the boring business, if you're just starting out, the boring businesses are generally a bit easier to get into because, if you want to open a laundromat, people go, laundromat? Like, who wants to do a laundromat? Who wants to do vending machines? Like, I don't know, it seems like hard work. It seems like, but everybody's got to have their clothes washed. Everybody buys a chocolate and a Coke from a vending machine. Those businesses are easy to start. And because, like you say, most people go, well, I don't really want to have vending machines.
The problem is there. The problem is there.
Absolutely. And the same with us now, most people want to actually do something that they can just do on their computer. So I want to just, I'm going to start a business where I can just sit in my lounge and I can just go on AI and I can get AI to do my business. And that's incredible. That's incredible. Right. But if you can sit in your lounge and do it on AI, so can the 8 billion other people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about something like, let's say you become a plumber, right? Now you're not competing against 8 billion people because people that are in India can't do plumbing in Australia. They just can't get here to compete with me. People that are in the next town can't compete with me. People that are in the next suburb can't compete with me. So it's easier for me to actually be able to really make money, And so that's literally why the boring businesses make so much more money because they're a really good start for you. If you're going to start, look for something.
You lower
boring.
your risk, right, Luis? You have less risk,
100%.
Because being a good entrepreneur, like we always share in this podcast, is a skill. The more you practice, the better you become. Like you, for example, you have
Absolutely.
your first business, a plumbing business. Oh, I'm gonna sell it. This happened. Okay, you know what? I learned the dynamic of business, and now I learn. So it's like driving a car or swimming, right? You're not gonna learn how to swim, even though over there in Australia where you have great swimmers, but you're not gonna learn how to swim just for a book. You practice, and the more you practice, the better you become. So we always said, the faster you fail, the faster you develop these skills, right? And
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
remember with the
Fail
public
fast.
speaking the same thing. The first time that I was about to talk about my book in a conference, somebody came from the public and told me, Harry, you horrible man, go to Toastmasters, do something when you public speaking. This is a disaster. Yeah, you really need. And now I do this conference with thousands of people, everybody clapping and Harry, you're amazing. I'm just telling them I had done this hundreds of times. That's why it's good to you. Same thing that you said. On one shiny moment, but a lot of boring things. Now,
Yeah.
Luis, for someone that, by the way, with this skill set that you have is priceless. You know who I know that have your same skill set. Jeff Bezos from Amazon. He's a system guy, so that's
Yeah.
his thing. That's his thing. And look, it's one of the wisest people in the world. So when you know about system and you really know how to articulate that, you can scale any company, which you have done it several times. But you are a hand-on guy, business, okay? So I can tell that you don't have any problem to get your hands dirty in any business you take in order to scale. So what's your take in what some people are saying there, that you can become a billionaire and you can have a unicorn only with one person, company, and AI. Do you think that's possible?
Absolutely. But you could also become the next Brad Pitt. You could win the lotto. You got a tiny chance of becoming the next famous movie star. You've got a tiny chance of becoming the next famous. That's why they call it a unicorn, because, like, literally the chance of seeing one is almost impossible. The chance of us becoming one is almost impossible, right? But it's not completely impossible. There is a slight chance of getting it. But before you can become a unicorn, you need to actually work out, how are you going to survive? How are you going to make money to be able to look after yourself? Okay. So start those boring
and
businesses.
how you diminish the risk, Luis, and how you diminish the risk to your life in order to become an entrepreneur. Because look, your business, okay, even since you're a kid, my business, you know what? All the kids want a pet, okay? Then you go to the other business, which it was the plumbing. Okay, it's an operational intense business, yeah. But by the way, someone in this podcast that exit one of the company 500 million only specialized in buying home services business. That's all he does. And he told me, Harry, every plumbing company that I bought in my life, they all had the wrong price, and they all had this system issue that you said. But he had bought and sold so many all over the United States that now he has everything figured out. And every now and then he buys. He specializes in scaling home services business. He's a fellow podcast guest that attended here. Anyway, the whole point, Luis, is that as entrepreneurs, okay, just because of lack of experience, startup founders go there to found a company. Yeah, and you said something interesting that I want to come back on this. And I have my business. I have this unique idea. Every time that somebody comes to me, Harry, I have this unique idea. Nobody had done it before. I'm terrified. I'm thinking, well, if nobody had done it before, maybe there is no market for it. Like you said, somebody else had done stuff. This is a sign. No, too many plumbing companies. Well, that means that there is demand for it, because, so when you see too many companies, that is a sign that, well, there is demand, and everything comes then, Luis, in what you specialize, how to get more market share. How can we optimize and get more market share? But the problem is there, and the size of the market is there, right? I think it's more challenging for our startup founders to try to come up with a problem that they think that people have, that we don't know how they're going to pay, how the market want to pay for this problem, and how is the market's going to adopt, and how they're going to pay. Somebody came here to the podcast. He invented in the 80s something that looks like a telephone that measures the time that people works. And he told me, Harry, this is what I thought. I invented this thing, and I said, I'm going to make millions because every worker in the factory will buy this thing to track their time, so like this, they don't get fired. Guess what? Nobody bought one. So then he goes, and he said to a CEO, listen, buy all these devices yourself and give it to your workers. So like this, man, you can measure the efficiency. And the CEO said, no, I'm not going to buy all this for my workers. But the CEO told him, but this is what I'm interested in. I'm interested if I can lease these devices from you for 3 days and you give me a data, a report. That report, I'm willing to pay for this. So look how far, Luis, from what he thought that the product is going to sell and actually what the market really want to buy. And except you say something at the beginning like, okay, just start, because you start something, but you will figure out that it will go there, you will go there, you go there, and eventually you will do it. And and the other day I was listening to Tech Talk. They were saying every startup is a stupid idea. Because they were saying like, and out of the 500 millionaires we interview here, still I haven't found anybody yet, Luis, that told me, Harry, guess what? I designed a product like this and exactly how I designed it. I sold it and I become multimillionaire. No one had told this story yet. People say, Harry, I had to pivot, I had to change the approach. Look at you, even with the mice, you need to paint it in red because, at some point you have setback and things. So coming back to the same question that the same point that you stretched at the beginning. What is your take in this Tech Talk statement? Every startup is a stupid idea. And also what you said, that start somewhere, because the important is you start, you will pivot and pivot and pivot. You're going to learn the skill and eventually you make it. So what is your opinion in that statement? I hear from the TEDx channel. Yeah. So
I don't
it's a little bit
controversy.
It's a little bit controversy. I don't. It was an statement that I find it shocking. Like the speaker saying, every startup founder, let me tell you something, the truth. Every startup have a stupid idea, and this is what is a startup. I'm like, wow, that's strong. But anyway, you tell me, Luis, your point of view. Yeah.
I don't think it's a stupid idea. I don't think that they're all stupid ideas. Sometimes if you go into something that somebody's already doing, like if somebody's doing plumbing and you go in and you do plumbing, it's a great idea, okay? Because it's already a proven business, right? But there are some way people go in and, like your friend did with the thing to clock, to time the workers. That was a silly idea. It was a stupid idea. Right, because in his mind it was like great, but he hadn't identified the problem, and so in his mind it was great, but he would have lost money doing it. But then also, if you look at
he had
the
to
first
pivot, Luis, he had to pivot the way of thinking like 2, 3, 4, 5 times until finally he find out what people actually want to pay, right?
Yeah,
it had to do this journey. Is that the journey that you said at the beginning? Start somewhere and you will go there, and there, and eventually make it, but you have to start somewhere, right?
But look at the first time we did videos. I look back at the other day and I was looking at the first videos that I did, and they were terrible. The videos were terrible. Okay.
Well, if you see mine, you will cry. If you see my one, you will cry. I had them in YouTube, but they're a disaster. Yeah, I have it from my memories.
I meet so many people and they say to me, Louis, I want to do my videos, but they've got to be perfect. And I'm like, they are never going to be perfect. Because even if you do a video and you think this is perfect, you're going to look back in a year's time and you're going to go, man, that was terrible. Hey, I opened up by saying, hello, my name's Louis, and I want to tell you about something. And you go, that is so boring. Okay. And as we're learning, we're looking back and saying, oh, I wasn't that good then. I wasn't that good then. And if you're not looking back and saying, hey, I wasn't that good, like that's a problem, because that means you're not growing. So that's a problem. So, just get out there and do it. If you want to do videos, get out there, take action. Get out there, start doing it. Start doing your stuff.
Louis, tell us about your book. Why do you write this book? Where people can buy it? What is your favorite chapter? Tell us all about it.
So my book is called The B Myth. And the B stands for busy. So, you meet somebody and you say, hey, Harry, how you going? And you say, I'm so busy, man. I'm so busy. I'm just so busy. I've got no time. I'm so busy. And we wear it as a badge of honor. We wear it like, I'm so busy, I must be important. I'm so busy, I must be successful. I'm so busy, I must be, people must love me. And it's not at all. If people are busy, basically they're telling you that they've got no time management. They're telling you that they don't actually understand how to manage their time properly. And I've got a couple of little tools. One tool, I always say that if you listen to a podcast, if you walk away from a podcast and you don't implement anything, it's just entertainment. You could have watched Netflix. You might as well watch something on Netflix, which was entertaining. But here's one thing that I would like everybody to walk away from this podcast with. Okay. So think about how much you want to earn next year. So how much do you want to earn this year? Let's say you want to earn $200,000. Okay. I have a rule called the 2K rule. So 2,000 hours. If you went now and you worked for a boss, you'd work 40 hours a week. Yeah, that's about how much you'd work for a boss. You'd work maybe 50 weeks a year. Now 40 times 50 gives you 2,000 hours. So in the next year, you've got 2,000 hours to make whatever that money is that you're thinking of. So if you want to earn 200,000, you divide it by 2,000 hours, and that gives you a figure of $100. If you want to earn $100,000, you divide it by 2,000 hours, it gives you a figure of $50. If you want to earn $500,000, divided by 2,000, gives you a figure of $250. Now, if you want to get benefit from this podcast, and I know you all do because you're starting out, what I want you to do is get a Post-it note, and I want you to write down that figure. Whatever that figure is we've just discussed, I want you to write that figure down on a Post-it note. I want you to stick it on your laptop, stick it on your monitor, stick it on your wall, stick it anywhere, because this is what happens. You now know how much you need to earn per hour. You now know you need to earn $100 an hour. Now, if you're doing tasks that are worth $10 an hour, like going on podcast, like, going on Canva and moving, images around and redesigning your page for the 10th time, that's a $10 an hour job. If you're doing that and you're going, I might as well just do it myself because it's quicker, you are actually not saving $10. You're actually losing $90 in that hour. And that means that the next hour that you work, you not only have to make $100, you've got to make 100 plus the 90 that you lost. So you have to make $190. So write down that figure. Now what I want you to do is, when you're doing stuff, I want you to look up at that figure and I want you to say, would I pay somebody, whatever that figure is, let's say it's $100, would I pay somebody $100 an hour to do what I'm doing right now? And you go, man, I wouldn't pay somebody $100 an hour. I'm busy doing some admin work. I wouldn't pay somebody $100 an hour to reconcile my bank account. I wouldn't pay somebody $100 an hour. I would just, that's ridiculous. I'd get somebody that can do it for $10 an hour because that's what you're paying yourself. So think about that figure and you want to work to that figure because you need to earn that figure on a consistent basis to get to your target. So you can't go, I want to earn $200,000. Here's $100. I do $10, $10, $10, $10, and then somehow magically I'm going to get to $200,000. It just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. Okay, so that's the number one thing I want you to take away from this podcast. Make sure you got a Post-it note. Make sure you write down on the Post-it note that figure and stick it somewhere. The second thing I want you to take away is I do what I call a post-time planner. So write down what time you start work. So let's say you start 6. So write down on a piece of paper, write down 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, all the way through your day. And we all plan ahead. So we go, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to go to a meeting and then I'm going to spend some time on, in a podcast. And then I'm going to spend some time in an interview. And then I'm going to do some admin work. And we plan our day. How many of us get to the end of the day and go, man, I was so busy today, but I didn't actually accomplish anything, right? And that's because we're not sure of what we've actually spent the time on. So me, the other morning, I get up every morning at about 7 o'clock. This morning, I got up at 5 o'clock and I'm like, you know what? I got up, I sat up in bed. I thought I'll just play on TikTok. So I got out my TikTok and I was playing on TikTok. It was fun. probably 20 minutes. Okay. And then I was like, oh, go and have a shower, put down my phone, had a shower. And then I came out and I'm like, man, I am late for my 7:30 meeting. And then in my brain, I was like, where did I was played on TikTok for about 20 minutes. I showered for about 5 minutes. Where did the other 2 hours go? And the reality is that I didn't play on TikTok for 20 minutes. I got sucked into TikTok and I was on TikTok for 1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay. And that's what happens in our life. But we don't think about it. So then at the end of the day, I go, I don't know what happened to my day because I spent 20 minutes on TikTok. I had a quick shower. I did my meeting and I've used up all this time. So how the post planner works is every hour, you just set a chime on your phone. So it goes ding every hour. And then you think, okay, what did I spend the last hour doing? Okay, the last hour was in a podcast. Oh, the last hour was playing on TikTok. Actually, I sat down to watch something. The kids were watching a cartoon on TV. And then I sat down and then I ended up watching a cartoon for 2 hours. Okay, so I write that down, right? So every hour, you're writing down what you're doing. And after 2 weeks, you are going to be able to look at that and say, wow, I spent so much of my time doing this one thing. Right? I need to get somebody to help me to do whatever these things are because these things aren't making me money. So that's the second thing, right? So the first thing is the post-it note. Second thing is get yourself a post-time planner. Look at the hour before, how that went, and do that. And the third thing is think of one task that you can do every day. What's one thing that you can do today? Not 10 things. Just one thing. So if you're sitting on the couch and you're thinking about starting a business, what's one thing that you can do? And generally, that one thing is something that you do not want to do. Okay, so I spoke to a lady yesterday and I said, what's the one thing that you should have done today? And she said, I had such a busy day, but I'm meant to do 2 invoices for my clients, but I just haven't got around to them. I'll do it tomorrow. And that's the one thing that she really, really should have done. That is the one most important thing for that day. Okay. So I have this thing called productive procrastination. So if you think about it, I go like, I've got to do my credit card. I've got to get my credit card, balance my credit card, do the reconciliation. And I don't like doing credit card. Okay. It like annoys me because I go, 3 months ago, I spent $47 at some place I don't know, recognize the name. And the accountant wants to know, like, what did you spend it on? I'm like, I've got no idea. Hey, okay. So then I get it. Okay, today I'm doing my credit card, right? So I come and I sit at my desk and I go, my desk's a bit untidy. So I'm better just tidy up my desk because you want your desk to be tidy, okay? So I start tidying up my desk and now my desk is beautiful. It's tidy. And then I drop a piece of paper on the floor. And then I look at the floor and I'm like, you know what, there's some stuff on the floor, I probably need to just vacuum the floor just to be sure, right? So I get out the vacuum. Now I vacuum the whole floor of my office. All that stuff is super productive. You do need to clean your desk. You do need to vacuum the floor. But I'm doing it as a procrastination technique from my credit card statement. So that's productive procrastination. And I feel like I'm busy. I am busy and I'm doing productive stuff today. It had to be done. The floor had to be vacuumed. The desk had to be cleaned. But ask yourself, what's that one important thing that you should be doing today? And make sure you accomplish that one important task every day.
Luis, if someone is in love with this conversation and want to find out more about you, how this process works, how people can find you on LinkedIn, tell us a little bit more.
Awesome. So
where can they buy your book?
My book is called The Bee Myth. It's on Amazon. So you can just go on Amazon. You can get it there. Yeah, you can just get it. You can get a copy from the Kindle. It's only $1. And literally, it's a parable about somebody who goes from being super busy all the way to actually being able to take some time off in his life. And so, that's kind of what the book is about. If you want to reach out to me personally, you can just go on my name is Louis Swart, so Louis, like Louis Vuitton, and Swart like smart, but with a W, so SWART. So if you go to louisswart.com, you can get all my details there. Book in a virtual coffee with me. Let's have a coffee. Let's have a quick chat and see how we can work together. Run that idea past me that you're trying to do, and let's work out how we can do it, because being a business owner is very boring. It's a very boring sometimes, and it's a very lonely sometimes place to be, because you're sitting on your own at home. Somebody else is sitting on their own at home, and sometimes it's tough. Hey, your family's got jobs. They're all got jobs, and you have a win, and you want to tell them about your win, and they don't really understand your win because they get paid every Thursday. They don't understand that you got paid and you've been like really desperately trying to get paid this money, or you have a fail. You have a fail, and you tell your family, like, listen, I had a fail, and they just go, well, go and get a job. They don't understand that you don't want to. That's not where you're going. They don't understand you. So sometimes it's good to just have other people you can reach out to and talk to.
100%.
Hey?
Yeah, go ahead.
So definitely get the book. There's heaps of really cool tips in the book. There's activities you can do which show you how to, the first 3/4 of the book is a super easy read. Super easy. It's a parable, and you'll be able to just read it. It's a story. It's got a whole lot of really cool messages, but it's a story. And the last third of the book is all activities, and it's actually activities for you, like how do you do a post planner? How do you do the hours? How do you do all these different things? So yeah,
and the system, because you're a system guy, how they can get the system. Luis, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast. I think you're great. You're amazing, and I want to last touch in this point, like the journey of entrepreneur gets lonely. In mind, we are just a tiny percent of the population that actually make it somehow with a lot of success and failure. So it's like a roller coaster journey. And again, very few people, only entrepreneurs, we understand each other. So sometimes I'm doing this podcast. I don't know if I do it for you guys or for me, because I've made amazing people like you, and I'm only talking with the entrepreneurs all the time. So I have my own family in this podcast, so I don't feel lonely anymore having this. So I don't know anymore if I'm doing it for them or for me. The point is, Luis, that being an entrepreneur can become a very lonely journey. As we know, 80% of startup fails in the first 2 years. So reach out, follow him in LinkedIn, follow the people that have developed the skill, because that's the other thing. You're not going to be a talent. This is no, like, for example, you're a good singer. Okay, you have talent. If you're a good painter of art, you have talent. But being an entrepreneur, you don't need to be, it's not anything about talent. Anybody can do it. It's very simple. The more you practice, the better you become. You become. The faster you fail, the faster you learn. And so everybody can be a successful entrepreneur. You just need to do the work. You just need to develop this skill. So thank you so much, Luis.
I've got a painter friend, and when I say, "Wow, you've got so much talent," she says to me, "I've worked since I was a child to get better at painting. This isn't talent. I've worked really, really hard to get it."
Look at this.
People think that singers and painters they're born and they're naturally an amazing painter.
They have to practice a lot.
They've studied the techniques. They've practiced. They've thrown away so many paintings. They've worked different brush strokes, different mediums, different things. And in business, lots of times we think we can just start the very first business and it's going to be amazing. We're going to be Elon Musk. It doesn't work like that. We got to start a whole lot of different ones. See which one works, which one doesn't work.
So thank you so much. For all of you following the podcast, see you in our next episode on Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Luis break that wall and achieve the first millions. Bye for now.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.